So it's this time of year when everyone starts thinking about Augusta and the Masters, the start of the golf season. It's all very exciting. We were talking about the Masters the other day, and we were talking about the 1996 Masters with the famous Greg Norman collapse. But actually, you know, Nick Faldo played brilliantly. But I mean, Greg Norman lost 8 shots in the first 12 holes. So you can imagine by the time they got to 13, Greg Norman's head is completely scrambled. It's that famous moment when they're both stood in the fairway, and I've tried to recreate it because I've got my old Mizuno tour bag, I've got my Fanny here, and as my caddy, she's got her book, she's got her boiler suit, and I've got the, well, it's not an exact same replica of Faldo's bag because I've got the MP29s, I've got the TP19 sand wedge, which is what he used. This was my brother's actually. He'd be mad if he knows I've still got it. He was mad I had it then. I don't think he put this centre mark on it. I probably did that because my brother's a chopper. But I also obviously went through a bit of a spell. I think this is when the Dave Peltz books were coming out, where I started putting my yardages on the shaft of the club. That's when I was an assistant pro at Flatwell Heath. And that was the start of the yips. Thanks, Dave Peltz. Just about got that out of my game now, 20 years later. Thanks very much. Then I've got an old TP18 metal driver, hardest bloody metal drivers to hit ever. Got my TP-AW persimmon, which I actually use this on the course, the black on the bottoms from the tee in here. I should have cleaned it. And I didn't have a T-Zoid. Faldo had a T-Zoid 18-degree 5-wood, which I didn't have in the collection. Don't really like those. But I have got this Mizuno, Titleist 970, a bit like the old PTs, quite sought after. 17 degree with an X100, so it's got the same shaft. Faldo used Lampkin grips, that's a Lampkin grip. He used classic, Lampkin classic cords, so not exactly the same. But it's got an X1, and even for authenticity, I bent it to 18 yesterday. I'm probably not even going to hit it, so I don't know why I did that. But I've got my MP29 2-iron here, so it was Faldo's dilemma was really between the 2-iron and the 5-wood. So Norman's hit it over on the right. He's having a bit of procrastination. He's moving pine needles around and all the rest of it. And he decided to lay up. And I remember Ken Venturi, the commentator, saying that for Norman, if he lays up on the left, it was an easier shot than missing the green long in the bunkers because it's such a fast bunker shot coming back down the hill. So when Norman laid up, must have been with a 6 or a 7-iron, all the commentators thought Faldo was gonna lay up as well. And I think this is where we get the really interesting glimpse into the mind of Nick Faldo. So he stood in the middle of the fairway. We haven't got Augusta. We can't get it on the sims. They're too strict. Any sim that says they have got it, it's just a fake version. So bear that in mind. Anyway, so we've gone to the 14th at Spyglass Hill. Quite similar. So slightly downhill. So I put myself a bit further back. I think Faldo had about 230 to the middle of the green. So we put ourselves a little bit further back because it's downhill. This green is similar in that you land it on the left and it runs to the right. I probably should have tried to get the pin over on the right a bit, but anyway, this will do. And Faldo, you know, what's amazing about Faldo is it was like, he really wanted to hit the 5-wood, and he said in an interview that he's like, in the interview that he did, he said that because, bear in mind the ball was above his feet, and we'll get back to that because that's one of the things that makes the shot really amazing. But he kept saying that every time he put the 5-wood down, because the ball was above his feet, it kept dropping in, so it kept looking like it was a bit shut. Chances are, I mean, he's a great soft arm player, so he could soften his arms to hit softer shots, but flat out I think the 5-wood definitely would have been too much club. I mean, he might have had a 5-wood in his hand, a 5-wood and a 2-iron just for different ball flight, and that might have been the consideration. But what's amazing about Faldo is that firstly, he still goes for it. He's that confident. I mean, Faldo's ability to just hit shots in the moment is right up there, and in the all-time greats, especially with long irons. But he decides he's going to go for it. I think it took about 8 minutes in total for these two guys to hit their second shot. And he does the old Faldo routine. You know, he's going from hand to hand. He's fiddling around. You know. He gets in there, does his little foot thing and all his little waggles, and he's like, gets in there with the 5-wood like he's ready to hit it, not once but twice, and backs away from it. Now most players, bear in mind Greg Norman's mind at this point has gone, his eyeballs are up in the back of his head, he's just fallen apart. Faldo is just the complete opposite. You know, he's just an absolute assassin. So this does not affect him. So he's ready to hit. You literally think he's about to hit the shot, and he gets out. He doesn't like it. And my Fanny's gone. Anyway, Fanny's there. She comes back in. They go straight back into the routine. Now at that point, this is another amazing thing. He pulls the 2-iron, which, you know, is an altogether more scary club to hit. So now picture the scene. He's got the 2-iron. He's had that moment, but just does a brilliant job of like getting himself back into the shot, getting himself back into the mode. I haven't got the ball above my feet here, obviously, because I'm on a map, but I haven't even got the ball above my feet on the terrain on the sim. But he's got the ball a little bit above his feet, and the great thing, the lovely thing about the 13th at Augusta is you can see the ball flight because of the trees at the back. Even in those days when the cameras weren't quite as good, and he just hits this absolute perler of a 2-iron. It just hits, it comes off with a perfect little fade. It lands like only about 6 foot onto the green, but you know, Faldo's amazing at that. Like, to anyone else, that's just dead scary, right? He had to hit it. I mean, he's got a bladed 2-iron. It had to be hit perfect. Even when it was hit perfect, it was only going to be 6 feet onto the green. So I'm going to give it a go. Watch out. I'm going to try and hit a little fade here. First time, Charlie. That's first time. Could be big. Anyway, there you go. Masters next week.